Good to have you with us on South Africa Tonight. I'm Gareth Edwards. Plenty still coming up for you in the next few hours. But as we get closer and closer to the ANC elective conference, it's just around the corner, in fact. NEC member and former Gauteng MEC for Health, Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa, has been touted by ANC branches and regions to compete to be the party's first Secretary General. Well, it's a huge pleasure to welcome to eNCA this evening Dr. Ramokgopa, taking time to join us this evening. Dr. Ramokgopa, good evening to you. First of all, do you want the job?
Well, good evening, Gareth, and good evening to viewers. It's not about wanting the job. It's whether the collective of the ANC and indeed to a large extent the people of South Africa believe that we can make a difference. And we have been groomed to take up whatever challenge in the best interest of our people, the people of South Africa. It's not the first time I was part of the anti-apartheid struggle, like many others. And it's not yet Uhuru. We need to do even much more to have our democracy mean a better life for many of our people.
How much work do you think you'll have to do if you did get the position? Because the previous Secretary Generals often end up just fighting with communities about what hasn't been done. What is it that you think you can actually do, Doctor?
Gareth, a lot of work indeed. Amongst others, it is really to make sure that we take the ANC back to where it belongs, to be a trusted institution of our people, to be experienced as capable, to be experienced as having integrity, and to be experienced as having commitment to improve the quality of the lives of our people. I think that's very important, and to restore the trust that indeed has been hampered or hammered over the time.
Why is that? Why has the trust been hammered and hampered? Your words, hammered and hampered, Dr. Ramokgopa. Why has the trust been hammered and hampered? What happened?
We want to acknowledge that for instance, the issues of corruption were real, and we believe that more still needs to be done to mitigate so that we have a society that shuns fraud, corruption, whether in the public sector or in the private sector. And the second issue is that perhaps we got too busy in our offices and we're not more visible with communities. And that is why, led by the President, we've started the Legima campaign. We are on the ground to ensure that we work with the communities to rebuild active citizenry with the people on the ground. That's what the ANC has been. But above all, we also need to mend the bridges with the Alliance, who represent the working class in general, and the mass democratic movement broadly. We know that the ANC was formed by the faith-based leaders, traditional leaders, and a number of civil society structures. We have the 2019 and 2021 national and local government manifestos to deliver on. And that would be as a collective, not as an individual, but the coordination of all our efforts, ensuring that we are accountable, ensuring that the barometer that we promised quarterly reports to the public on our work of building communities, that all those are important. But indeed, we need to stabilize our financial situation so that the operational programs can be effective and strengthen international relations. The ANC has been known as a member of the world leaders that would want a better life for their citizenry, but also for their regions, in our case, Africa and the world at large.
Help me understand. I see support growing. I'm taking a look at Sowetan Live, Doctor, and I'm sure you're well aware of all the online articles at the moment. Support growing for Ndumiseni and Tuli to get the job instead of you. Why should you get it instead of Ndumiseni?
Well, I don't think it's whether this one or that one should get it or not. It is about what the outcome would be. And I have served the people of South Africa in whatever position or even in my individual personal capacity. I don't need to be in an office. But if the branches, the members of the ANC believe I can still contribute, I certainly am available. But if someone else is assigned, I will certainly spare no effort to work with them to succeed in our endeavor as the ANC to serve the people of South Africa and build on the gains that we have made, correct and mend our ways, and bring hope for a inclusive growth and a shared prosperity.
I don't think many people would disagree with you. Would you like Cyril Ramaphosa as your boss? Who else would you like to have to report to?
I think there are very few people who choose their bosses. But in the ANC, it's about collective leadership. And all of us bring different strengths, different experiences, different skills. And it's always about a collective effort to carry out this huge, a mammoth task of building and our society, especially after the impact of COVID pandemic.
Would you prefer to see a woman president of the ANC, move Cyril Ramaphosa aside, put a woman in charge?
Well, there are many women that are available and that have said they are available. And the president also, there is a growing request for him to consider the second term so that there is consolidation. So let us await branches. And indeed, we in our policy conference, which went extremely well and inspired both members and also society, that the ANC is on track, an irreversible path towards renewal. At that conference, I presented on behalf of the Gender Committee and Commission the issues of the need and overwhelming call for gender parity amongst the top 6. So if we are 6, let a minimum of 3 be women. But we are also saying there may be a need, and this conference will finalize on to have the second Deputy Secretary General. So that's why we're talking about a minimum of 3 women.
Does it matter, forgive me, Doctor, does it matter that come December you being touted as the SG for the ANC, arguably, and I'm sure you'll agree, probably one of the most important people for the front-facing element of the ANC. It's taken this long to put a woman's name on the list. We're in 2022. Surely it's insulting to you, for someone who deals with gender parity, it's taken this long.
Well, maybe better late than never. If you look at Charlotte Maxeke, already in 1912, she was mobilizing men to form this African National Congress. She was there in person, she contributed, but she couldn't be in the leadership position. I think fast forward 110 years later, the ANC has gone through quotas, 30%, now 50% is within the constitution. Very few institutions have made that kind of a progress. It's time also to ensure that there's gender and youth representation, even at the highest level of the leadership of the ANC.
So when we talk about gender parity within the ANC as well, help me understand, why is there still a backtracking whenever we get to the ANC elected conference? Because you and I are going to sit here, Doctor, and we'll see how things play out come December as well. But when we get to the ANC elective conference in December and no women are chosen to the ANC top 6 as well, it's because the ANC is looking to the future. Surely the future is now. It gives the impression that men are still better politicians than women. Surely that can't be true.
Most definitely not. If you look at the many women that participate within our ranks, many women that participate in a number of political and other societal institutions, women participating even in churches, which are still faith-based sectors, which are still dominated by men. So women are equally capable, even in the corridors of the corporate world. Women are capable. However, we still need to tackle the demon of patriarchy, and that is part of our transformation agenda. A transformation agenda includes de-racializing society and ensuring that there is gender parity and that there is inclusivity. The rural and urban, their lives improve and they are also able to represent themselves in institutions that deal with their day-to-day lives. So I think the ANC is one of, as I've said, one of the few institutions that have ensured that their constitution talks about 50% gender parity. So we celebrate that, but we also advance further than that.
As I say goodbye to you, Doctor, very briefly as you can, should Cyril Ramaphosa get a second term? Is he really the right man for the job?
Well, I think, the performance speaks for itself.
Some would say non-performance. Some would say non-performance so far.
Well, from whichever perspective, I think we should judge that as members of the ANC and as a society. We should also look at how we managed to go beyond the COVID pandemic. And also, yes, indeed, the economy is difficult, the issues of ESCOM, a little bit of progress there with a new leadership in the board, and also, you know, the transport stabilization.
You're citing many issues, Doctor. I mean, is that a yes or a no?
I must say that there's still a lot to be done.
I'm sure. Is that a yes or a no for Cyril Ramaphosa, second term? Yes or no?
For me, I believe that any leader with the first term, you start looking at putting the basis for consolidating. And when you have had such a disruptive element, pandemic like COVID, perhaps a second term would be best to judge him by.
And you could be joining him as well as the Secretary General of the ANC. Doctor, forgive me for cutting you off, but I do need to say goodbye for now. You could very well be the ANC Secretary General. You could be working with Cyril Ramaphosa. Well, as you say, as everyone in the ANC says, depends on the branches. I appreciate your time this evening. ANC NEC member currently could very well be the future ANC Secretary General, Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa, joining us here on eNCA.